What's up, everyone? We're back here for another live right about 4 o'clock on a Friday. It's been a crazy busy day today. That's why we had to kick it to 4:05 before we get this jump started. So on today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Theodore Edgecombe trial. We'll talk about kind of what we think about how the lawyers are doing in that case, who's winning so far, just a couple days into it. We'll talk a little bit about Chandler Halderson, about that verdict that came out, what his chances are at appeal. And we'll continue talking about that if you guys have questions about it. And then we'll also talk about Maxwell and Holmes as best as I can. Pete's going to do more updates on that and continue talking about the Balwani trial coming up. So if you have questions about that, I can answer them as best as I can. But we are just going to answer a lot of questions today. And another important thing that's happening today is we are going to pick a name for this show for the Friday Lives. And we have our top 2 finalists based on the community page and the polls that were, let me see here. And the polls that were posted on our community page, we're going to bring the top 2 choices here. Harrison Fleming, I just saw you ask a question. Can I talk to you privately about some issues? Yes, you can. We post our email address in every video. So you can email me. My website is www.tragoslaw.com, TRAGOSLAW.com. And since doing the Friday Lives, I don't know why, I don't know what it is about this, but we have gotten a lot more calls and emails specifically from people watching and subscribers about their issues or questions that they have. And they've been all over the country, really. We've had calls from California, Florida, North Carolina, Texas, Colorado already. So we're connecting people with lawyers in those states or handling cases that we can ourselves. We've even had some in Florida that are different practice areas than what we handle, and we've connected them with great lawyers in the city that they're in. So if you guys do have a question specifically about a case, I cannot give legal advice and will not give legal advice over YouTube or in a format like this, but I do provide my email address, phone numbers on the website. So I do make myself available to you. When I have time, I'll make it so that I can answer your questions if you have them, because that was the whole point of starting this channel, to be a lawyer that you know. People comment in just about every video saying, I don't know you. And we always say, well, you do now. So if you guys do have a specific question, like Harrison Fleming, who posted here in the chat that he has a private question, yes, you can go ahead and reach out to me that way. So we're going to jump into the Edgecombe trial and some topics. I actually may start with questions if people have questions already in the beginning. I may start with questions today. Why not? This Friday Live, anything can happen. But yeah, it is more of an open kind of discussion, Q&A. We'll talk about whatever you all want to talk about. And about 10 or 15 minutes into it, I'm going to announce the top 2 finalists for the name for this episode. And I want the people that actually catch the live here and watch it later. But this video is going to get us our name. So by next Friday at 4 o'clock, we are going to have a name for this live every week. So I see some questions already coming in, some personal questions about me and some general questions. So let's start with that while we're here, and we'll work our way to Edgecombe, Halderson, and Maxwell, and whoever. Let's see here. Can I get in trouble if I'm on a jury and push for jury nullification? Can I be prevented from being on a jury if it's known that I think jury nullification can be a good idea? So jury nullification is where the jury disregards the law and basically makes a public policy decision. Like, I don't care that this person committed a crime. They don't deserve to get convicted of it. We're going to go rogue, basically, and go not guilty. I would hope that it only goes in that version and not that you want to punish somebody because you don't like them. So you're going to have jury nullification just to convict somebody. That would be horrible, and I hope you would never do that. Lawyers are not allowed to ask for jury nullification. It is not illegal to push for jury nullification. However, I would not call it jury nullification if I was on a jury. I would say potentially, maybe I don't think he committed the crime. Maybe I think there's reasonable doubt. Maybe I don't think the prosecutors proved the case, because obviously if you really, you'd have to tell me why you'd be pushing for jury nullification. I think there are circumstances where it may matter. And I think a lot of it happened like in weed cases in Florida specifically, where the jury would say, this is a joke. They shouldn't be convicted of it. It's not illegal in many other states. Now some sheriffs are not even arresting for it. Some prosecutors are not even prosecuting it. And it seems like the legislature is going towards legalizing it. So that's one example where people said jury nullification, forget this. I don't think it should be illegal. So it can happen. It's not how the system is supposed to be set up. And I ordinarily would not encourage it, but you're not going to go to jail or something for it. And you're not going to be struck off of every jury. Now, if in Vordaer, in another case, we usually ask, have you served on a jury before? Did you get to a verdict? And if you bring up the fact that you pushed for jury nullification, my guess is no prosecutor is going to want you on a jury, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be off all juries forever. But probably not a good idea to discuss it outside the jury room. Good afternoon, Carrie. Hello from Ireland. Hello from Idaho. Martina, your bedtime is approaching. Thank you for waiting up for us. Mac, I would be right with you with that question. I think we posted in here where it is, but it's only on computers. You can't do it on your phone, and it's on our actual YouTube page, and it's one of the tabs. You click community and go vote. So go vote now, because I'm going to check the percentages in the top two and announce them here in about 10 minutes, and we can discuss what the name is going to be. Mira. Hi, Peter. I'm curious how you're liking your new computer. So I did a video, not a ton of people watched it, about the new iMac that I got. We're switching over practice management softwares. We're totally in the cloud. Our old one couldn't work on a Mac that we got, almost 10 years ago. So I am loving it. It's so smooth and fast and intuitive. I talk about how Macs, I've always been an iPhone guy, a Mac guy in law school. And undergrad, I was a Mac guy, had a Mac. I only switched back to PC when we came here. And like I said, our practice management software couldn't work on it, but I love it. I love everything about it. I haven't found a single thing I don't like. Doing these lives is so much easier on here too. I'm doing it on here right now. So you tell me what the sound's like, what the camera's like. Everything works easier on it. So I am loving my new computer. But to be fair, I haven't fully put it to the test because our new practice management software is not going live until February. So I still have my, see how this works. I still have my old computer set up there still for my practice management software, but I do emails and internet searches and research and type out a bunch of stuff. And like I said, doing videos here using the Mac. So I love it for everything I've used it for so far. Happy Friday, KB. Chris H., you're going to have to help me out. What recent events concerning Laura Vallow has happened that would indicate that she's going to be competent? Let me know what those recent events are, and I'll let you know if I think that they're moving towards her being competent. I do think that the way that they're indicating everything and classifying everything at this point, they are moving towards her being competent just generally. They're not saying she's just totally out and it's over for her and she's not going to be able to be rehabilitated. It seems like she is going to be towards rehabilitating. Let's see here. Robbie Kerbo. So I was just talking to my media coordinator that helps me put all this stuff together, and she said, maybe you'll talk about Britney Spears. So we have our first question on Britney Spears. Why has there not been an investigation on the lie that she had dementia? From what I hear, Matt Rosengart, her lawyer, is investigating any and everything that she is claiming people have done to her. I saw a report the other day saying that she has paid her father and others over $36 million to run this conservatorship that was probably unnecessary for longer than we could imagine. So I think they're going to investigate everything. And I think the stuff that sticks where there is hard evidence that they can prove, we are going to see it in the media. Matt Rosengart is going to file documents and complaints and causes of action that he needs to in order to get justice for Britney Spears. Hey, KB, do you think Chandler Halderson told his attorneys he did it and that's why they didn't provide much of a defense? No. I think the more I read and watch Chandler Halderson and that trial, I think that was their strategy, and I think it didn't work. Their strategy was less is more. We got more from Idaho. It says your email is invalid. I'm not sure if you're looking at... So that's my website is tragoslaw.com. My email is on the website. So our email through here is lawyeryouknow@gmail.com. And then my office email, if you want to send it there directly instead of through the Lawyer You Know account, it's my full name, Peter Tragos @greeklaw.com. Petertragos at greeklaw.com. New Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but did you say that you won't defend someone if they admit to you that they commit the murder? I did not say that. As an attorney, wouldn't you want to know if and how they did it? Yes, you'd want to know as much as you can about the case. I wouldn't, this is going to be double negative, I wouldn't reject every person that said they did commit a crime. I've represented plenty of people who did commit the crimes. What I said we wouldn't do is go to trial and say that they didn't commit the crime if they told us they did commit the crime. We're not going to go to trial and lie. That's what I said. We have had people ask us to do that before. But there are a lot of ways legally that we have to deal with that, and maybe even get the court involved if they are lying on the stand or want to put up a witness that they tell us is going to lie or something like that. We won't ever do things like that. But I represent plenty of people that commit crimes. And usually we're either working out a deal, we're explaining to the prosecutor if they charge the wrong, if they charge under the wrong statute, if they charge under the wrong crime, if something was wrong in the investigation, if their constitutional rights were violated. There's lots of things to still discuss, even if somebody tells you they committed a crime. So I wouldn't just reject the case because somebody said, I committed a crime. Some people can't understand that, which I get it. I grew up in this world because my dad's been a criminal defense lawyer my whole life. But a lot of people, it's hard for them to compute why you would ever represent somebody that committed a crime. There are lots of reasons, some of which I just explained, and more we can talk about later if you guys have more questions. Hello from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Do you think the girlfriend had anything to do with it in regards to the Halderson case? Absolutely not. I think there's a pretty good indication that nobody really expected it until it all kind of happened. Yes, Carrie Adams, be sure to hit the like button. I've noticed, maybe it's just because people don't like my videos, but we don't get as many likes as like everybody else does in the YouTube sphere. So if you're liking the video, hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed, go subscribe. I feel like I ask every video. Maybe I'm not very convincing when I ask because it's an uncomfortable part of something I'm not used to when I speak publicly. Here we go. I'm in the medical field, and loss of follow-up with a patient / not responding in a timely manner is considered abandonment. Is there an equivalent doctrine for attorneys after you pay a retainer? So yeah, there are potential contracts that you have as an attorney, and if they pay you for legal representation and you don't provide it, there could be that issue. If you overcharge an unreasonable attorney's fees, there could be an issue with that. And if you just don't do any work on the case, yeah, it's a breach of contract. Just like, frankly, it's closer to like a contractor. You pay them to work on your house. If they don't work on your house, you can get your money back. Similar like that with an attorney. Monica T, I really want that iMac. Not going to lie, it is amazing and beautiful. Catherine, good afternoon from Ohio. Enjoy your videos. Thank you. My whole wife's family is from Ohio originally. Big Browns, Indians, Cavs fans in Ohio State. Stephanie, I'm not sure. So Vicky, interesting. So voir dire and voir dire actually are alternate pronunciations of the same thing. I have had this conversation with many trial lawyers about what is the right way to say it, and everybody says it different. They say there is no actual legally proper, not legally way to say it, but in the legal field, that pronunciation is not universally accepted, I will tell you. All right. Rosengart is a great attorney. Seems that way. Your recap of the no thank yous from the Halderson trial were hilarious. Maybe they're just too Midwest nice, or is that incompetent defense? I don't think the thank yous make them incompetent. It was just, it's one of those things that made me cringe. And then I heard it 15 times. So every time I was just like, golly. All right. So Bodie, no, I do not tell them to tell me. I do not tell them not to tell me if they did it. I want them to tell me what happened. I want them to be honest with me. I want them to tell me they did it if they did it, because we need to know all the details if we can fully represent them. How do you fire an attorney after you've paid them? Well, you can't necessarily get your money back if you fire them. If you don't think they're doing a good enough job, but you paid them for the hours that they worked or for the work that they did, you can't necessarily get your money back. If it's a contingency fee case, like a lot of what I do, car accidents, and you don't feel like they're doing a good job, you can fire them, but then they can have what's known as a quantum merit lien on the file. So they have to prove the work they've done on the file and then prove a reasonable attorney's fee. And at the end of the case, the judge can award them a portion of what the attorney's fees are on the case. And it can be above and beyond whatever you pay the next lawyer you get. So there's all sorts of different ways to pay lawyers: hourly, retainer, a flat fee, or a contingency. So how you pay them, what that contract is, depends on how you can fire them. If you've already paid them and you fire them, usually you're not going to get that money back unless you can prove they've only done part of the job and you can get part of the money back. Great question here by Steve Shee. You say you learn and are a better attorney because of participating in YouTube. Are there old cases you lost that you think you would win now because you are a better attorney now? So I can only ever, lost is kind of an interesting word, losing a case. But I would say no. There's nothing I would really say that I would go back and it would have been the difference between winning or losing. But I just say I think it's helped with like a totality, especially of the jury, like, and how looking at the jury and how to talk to a jury and how to understand what may be offensive or a turn off for them that I wouldn't necessarily think. So I knew that there were those things, right? I knew being a lawyer and coming up and this stuff being pretty normal to me, even as a kid, I knew would make me think differently than most people about cases and legal concepts and facts and arguments. So that has helped a ton, but I wouldn't say like there's a ton of motion practice or strategy or negotiating or evaluating a case or determining what it's worth. Those are all the more important factors to winning and losing cases. YouTube, I would say, has helped me the most with resonating with a jury and voir dire, and picking a jury and talking to a jury and relating to a jury. That's where I feel like it's helped me the most. And we've been pretty successful across the board in trials. So I can't say that one would have, and we've lost some criminal trials, of course, which we knew we were going to lose going into them. But, I don't think that it would have necessarily made a difference there. But great question. Really great question. Another good question. Chris H. Mark Means moved to Missouri. I didn't see that. He'll have to pass the bar exam before he can practice, ? Meaning, will he have to pass the bar? So most states, yes, unless they have some kind of reciprocity, which some states do. Florida doesn't right now, but that's something that's kind of come up through our legislature, that they're trying to give reciprocity with other states, which would be horrible to Florida because a ton of people retire here. So we would just have a bunch of retired lawyers coming here and hanging up a shingle when they don't even know how to practice Florida law, but they want to retire here. So it depends on if Missouri has reciprocity. I'm not sure if they do. Thank you. Hallow. Really? KB said Halderson's defense apparently wanted to forego closing arguments. The judge wouldn't allow it. That's crazy that they would have done nothing throughout the case. And yes, you can absolutely waive closing. So yes, to answer your question, yes, we have done it two times in a criminal case where we've waived closing. One time, and I'm sure you're wondering whether it was successful or not. And there were reasons. One of them was an insanity defense, and one of them was a case we felt really strongly about as the state kind of went through. So it's kind of different reasons that we waived closing in each case. But the insanity plea case, as we all know, the state gets to go first and last. And the entirety of the state's first close was all how the shooting happened, which we all knew how the shooting happened. But the medical testimony was the more important part of the case. Were they temporarily insane at the time of the murder, or at the time of the shooting, I should say? And they were saving all of that for second close. And it's funny, at that time, I was actually working at the state attorney's office, and my dad was representing the criminal defendant. And the state attorney, who was one of the top trial state attorney guys, drank a 5-hour energy as like an energy shot, getting ready for the second close because they were going to do all the important stuff in second close. And my dad waived closing. And he was so mad in the office after. It was hilarious. He was so mad because he was all ready. He had this great closing prepared. And so the 2 times we've done it, the first where we felt like we had a strong case and waived closing, we won that case without even doing a closing argument. And that insanity plea shooting case, we lost, even though we waived closing. So 50-50, we've won one, we've lost one. Every trial is different, and you have to handle them differently. And like I said, there are circumstances where you may not cross-examine a witness like was happening in Halderson, but to not cross any witnesses, not call any witnesses, and not do a closing is really asking for it, in my opinion. So Michael Palmer, lawyer, I thought I saw on your main page or somewhere that your name was Pete Sardis, not Drago. It's actually not Drago either. We'll get into this. Was that a typo or something? So our firm makes it really nice and confusing for everybody. We added Dave, who's our newest lawyer, but the three of us partners in the firm are George Tragos with a T, Tragos. So George Tragos, Pete Sardis, and Peter Tragos. So we have two Peters and two Mr. Tragoses. So when clients call, it's really fun for our staff to try to figure out who it is they're actually trying to talk to. Because if they ask for Peter, they say which one. If they ask for Mr. Tragos, they say which one. So hopefully that answers your question. Thank you, Robbie. Thank you, Stephanie. So Bodhi, it sucks that our guilt or innocence is determined by how good our lawyer is. I don't think that's true. I do not think that is the ultimate determining factor. I absolutely think it can make a difference. And what I say is maybe take it in thirds or some kind of percentage where no matter what lawyer you have, you can win a certain case. No matter what lawyer you have, you can lose a certain case. And then there's a chunk of cases in the middle where the lawyer that you have absolutely makes a difference. Now, there are some cases, some criminal cases especially, that we've lost, that we've lost the trial, that it's just a slugfest. And the state attorney or U.S. attorney realizes what a job was done. You can do a really great job and be a really great lawyer and still lose those cases. That just happens sometimes. So it doesn't mean just because somebody lost a case means they have the worst lawyer. And I've also had a civil case recently where basically everybody was telling us we were beating them up, and then we did not get the verdict that we wanted. So happens on both sides. Interesting. Other YouTubers have moderators who keep asking for likes. Okay. I'm learning YouTube, right? South Africa. Cool. Good evening. So Denise Collette, I talked about this in a couple videos. Is Prince Andrew trying to get coverage under the Epstein settlement, sort of admitting guilt? That's how I feel like it is, and I think to the public it is, but not legally, no. Carrie, were you surprised the jury came back so fast in the Halderson trial? Not really. I mean, yes, if I'm being honest, yes, I'm surprised how fast. But if you would have asked me, was it going to be a quick verdict, medium verdict, or slow verdict, I would have said quick. That quick was a little surprising. DPAT, absolutely. If I get a link to one of my trials that's televised, absolutely. That would be so fun to have everybody watching. All right. Expat. Are there cases that you would refuse, example, for moral, legal, professional reasons? Yes. There are quite a few. Maybe I'll do a video on that, kind of fully explaining it one day. But yes, there are. Nadia, great question. What is the biggest settlement you've ever won as a personal injury lawyer? So we have some big ones there. All of the really big ones are confidential. And that's one of the interesting things about this is some people post their confidential settlements. We don't, because it puts the client kind of in jeopardy if you break that confidentiality. But we have, I think we have some posted even on our website that are high 7, maybe 8 figures. No $100 million settlements or verdicts, no $1 billion settlements or verdicts, nothing like that. We don't do any class actions or anything like that. So 7 or 8 figures. Brianna points out something here. He does civil work. He doesn't get his hands dirty in criminal cases. For the most part, that is true. I did more criminal early on in my career. My dad does most of our criminal stuff now, 95% of what I do is, yeah, injury cases, civil cases, representing victims. New Chris, yeah, so Edgecombe. We can talk Edgecombe here. Some of these witnesses have been really interesting to watch. I really like some of what Edgecombe's lawyer does, and then some of it I am a little less than thrilled with. I think the state's doing a great job for the most part, but then again, I think he's leading witnesses a ton. I would object more to that. But some of these witnesses he's treating as hostile, so it's been really interesting. And yeah, the video of him punching him in the face first. So here's the question. Edgecombe claimed he punched the guy because the deceased used a racial epithet. If that's true, who's the initial aggressor? Using racial epithets, no matter how despicable they are and how horrible they are, words cannot make you the initial aggressor and allow a retaliation with lethal force. So if that's what they're planning on standing on, I don't think it's going to go very well. I think they're better off using the fact that he got out of the car, squatted up as the witness said, and put his fists up ready to fight. That's a better line of thinking for self-defense than words. And yeah, the fact that he punched him in the face, I think, is potentially the most damning part about all of this. You can't do stuff like that. And I thought that the witness that they brought, I can't remember his name, but that they had to actually put a witness warrant for him and actually arrest him to bring him to testify. That's just not a great look for the state. But the fact that he said it was cold-blooded, his 911 tape was much more damning than his actual testimony. And the fact that he said, I would have just fought the guy, I wouldn't have shot him, was pretty damning for the defendant. Civil cases are broadcast too, correct? Many of them are. Depends, though, to get that media to actually have somebody spend the money to broadcast them in a forum large enough for everybody to watch is interesting. I'll see, though. I'll see what I can do about that. Judges probably wouldn't be very happy about us trying to do that, but so Joyce, send me this link. Can you this hits a little close to home because I'm a Tesla owner. Can you follow the case where a Tesla driver is being charged with felony vehicular manslaughter following a fatal autopilot crash? Because somebody told me this happened and sent me a link. And then when I read the link, the guy was letting his friend drive the Tesla for the first time, and he was going 150 miles an hour and just went right into a house. They tried to blame it on autopilot, but it wasn't actually autopilot. So if you have an actual link, definitely send it to me. It's right up my alley for many reasons. Car accident, Tesla, civil case, absolutely send it to me. Bodie, do you put people in chat rooms to hear what regular folk, i.e. jurors, might be thinking? I don't know what you're trying to infer about the people in the chats or the regular folk on juries. And I'm not taking any offense to it. I don't know if you're trying to say dumber people are in chat rooms or dumber people are on the jury. But I will just tell you, based on my conversations with people in these videos and in these chat rooms, and based on my conversations with jurors, it is people from all walks of life, everything, the richest and the poorest, man, woman, every race, religion, creed, with every kind of job, every kind of background, people with a criminal history, people with a history of being victims. Every type of person can end up on a jury, and every type of person seems to, like we've had even people say, I've been convicted of a crime, I've been arrested before, I've had a verdict against me, all sorts of stuff in these chats too. So I actually think it can be a pretty good sample of society. Now, the difference in this chat is people from all over the world. And people on my juries are mostly people from our jurisdiction. So that is a difference. But yes, I do feel like there is a pretty good cross sample. Is that what they call it in science? Let's see. Good point. Beverly. So he went to Missouri, so he could already, at Mark Means, could have passed the bar there. Very true. Let's see. So yeah, somebody said, I think it's unlikely he said a racial slur. They're trying to play the race card. So what's been interesting is the state has been hammering on all the witnesses. Did you hear any yelling back and forth? Did you hear either of them say anything? And these people that are saying they were close enough to see their hands and see their faces and see the gun and see all this stuff, none of them heard any shouting back and forth. None of them heard any racial slurs that I've seen so far. Again, I haven't watched every second of the trial, but I've watched a lot of it. Monica, and thank you. I don't ever take offense when people correct me on here, and I appreciate it. And half the time I call it voir dire. So I appreciate it, and I keep it coming. I love it. Any discussion is good for me. And then Martina agrees. Okay. All right, good. I'm glad you guys have the consensus. All right. Yes, I'm planning on continuing with Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. So DPAT, they don't stream all of them. Now, some of them are in CCTV or some of them are on some public links. But if we do get one, then yes, we will. My last trial last year was in federal court, so no cameras, anyways. Yep, fabulous defense attorneys that have lost cases. Absolutely. If somebody tells you they've never lost a case, then they're not trying enough cases, in my opinion. Or they're just taking super easy cases, but it doesn't make sense. What kind of cases are you typically involved with? So most of my cases are injury cases, either wrongful death, catastrophic injuries from car accidents, soft tissue injuries from car accidents, slip and fall cases, premises liability cases, people drowning at theme parks, or a company not doing something right and somebody getting injured there, nursing home abuse or nursing home negligence cases. And then we do medical malpractice type of injuries with another lawyer in town who's awesome. So those are the majority of the cases I personally am handling. Our firm also does criminal defense. And then because we sue insurance companies, we do first-party property, homeowners damage for hurricanes and stuff like that too. So we live in Florida, home of the hurricanes. So that's typically what I'm involved with. Matthew Basketball, is it possible Sonny could be found guilty on more charges than Elizabeth Holmes? Yes. They are not limited to what she was convicted of. DPAT, so there are lawyers at our firm that would disagree with me and that would, and we have. I agree with you. I would not. Personally, I don't. James Johnson, I'm new to your channel but love your videos. Not sure if it's been asked, but thoughts on why Chandler's defense didn't provide an alternate suspect. I don't think they had one, and that could be because of lack of investigation or they just didn't try or look hard enough, but I don't think they had one. I don't think it would have been a good idea to go after the brother or the girlfriend personally. Potentially, I would have tried to find someone that maybe could have gone to the cabin with the parents and done something that way. But it's tough to find alternative suspects in these cases. I'll just tell you, that's something that happens a lot more on TV than it does in real life. Because if law enforcement rules people out as suspects and has all this evidence, and then you're trying to, now it has happened and we have done it. And we've actually had cases where we have proved it before trial. So they drop the charges and actually go arrest the proper person. So those cases are crazy. And I feel so bad for our clients that they have to go through all this when we actually have to go and prove and do the cop's job for them. It has happened. But once a case gets to trial, there's not a lot of cases where there's good alternative suspects. Because even though some people might not believe this, law enforcement does try to do the right thing most of the time. So if there is a real alternate suspect, they're going to investigate it. Michael Palmer, thanks for clearing up the name thing. Laura, Pete, when are you going to go on Nick Rakita's stream? Anytime he asks. I'm here. We've reached out to him. He's busy. He's doing live streams every single day. He's a big shot. I get it. And take no offense if he can't get me on. But eventually, if he gets me on, I'm down. I'm ready. I'll have fun with them. They seem like a really great group. So anytime. Hi from the UK. Who's your favorite TV lawyer? So there are a lot. First one that comes to mind, though, for me is Harvey Specter from Suits. He is probably my favorite TV lawyer, but I love a lot of them. And I love a lot of lawyers from movies. My favorite legal movie is A Few Good Men with Tom Cruise as the lawyer. Bodie. Strong. What does it mean to treat a witness as hostile? Lawyer asked the judge permission. So yes, what happens is if I call a witness, so he's my witness in my case in chief, I cannot ask them leading questions such as, you said this, right? You did this, right? This is what it looked like, right? This is what you told law enforcement, right? I can't ask questions like that. I have to ask questions like, what did you see? What did you do? What did you hear? What did you tell law enforcement? Which gives them a lot more leeway to kind of dance. So a lot of times you have to call a witness because they have pertinent information. And a lot of times it happens from prior statements or prior depots that you know the answer that you're going to ask, but you know they're going to lie or they're not answering your questions. So you call them. So they're technically your witness. So you have to ask them questions a certain way. But you can ask the judge once you've shown the judge that they are being hostile towards you or not answering questions. You say, judge, permission to treat hostile. It doesn't mean badger them. It doesn't mean get angry at them. It doesn't mean yell at them. It just means you can ask leading questions. You can be more direct and you can kind of try to control them on the witness stand. And there are certain opportunities where that fits. And if the judge allows you to do so, you basically treat them as a witness that you're cross-examining instead of direct examining. Kelly Am, thank you. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Bodie, I'm down. If anybody's in Florida, you can definitely come watch. My next one's in February. Let's see. Trial during rebuttal is prosecution statement. The defense is lying. Yeah, Nadia, called the jury of your peers for a reason. Monique, Dawn, could they have tried to get the gun excluded as evidence since it wasn't found until October? So I don't know the fact that it wasn't found until October would have been a reason to get it excluded, but I do think that, and again, I'm not involved directly in these cases, so it's harder for me to know exactly what all was there. But to me, that gun was so damning, but I'm not sure it actually proved anything because they couldn't prove that was the gun that was the murder weapon. So to say that it was there, I feel like was a pile on to the defendant where was it really proving anything? I don't know. Beverly, Peter, how do you feel about Mike Norvell promoting FSU O-line coach Alex Atkins to offensive coordinator? I love it. He's a really good recruiter from everything I hear, and the players seem to love him. So I'm all in, and I'm all good, positive thinking about Florida State until we start getting smacked around, and then it funnels down pretty quickly. Tora John's first time caught alive. Awesome. Hopefully by doing it every day, at least people will be able to come to some of them. That's what we're trying to do is create some consistency. And I was supposed to go through what the name is. So let me look here at the top two. All right. Here are the top two. And people have said to put my name in the title. So that's what we're going to do too. So vote in the chat now. Case by case with Peter Tragos or off the docket with Peter Tragos. And I'll tell you right now, if you have seen any other lawyer on YouTube or anywhere else using a name like this, tell me and do not pick that name because I don't want to have a name that somebody else has. These names have all come from the listeners, so I'm not sure where they got all these by. But the top two in voting were case by case and off the docket. Both of them will have with Peter Tragos in it. So let me know in the chat which ones you guys vote for, please. Mara L., what factors went into your decision to go to law school? So I went to Florida State, was actually going to be a doctor. I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. I broke my leg playing football in high school. It was a compound fracture. I had 7 surgeries, got to know my orthopedic surgeon. He was awesome. And so I shadowed him doing some surgeries. I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. So I went, had a bunch of credits, college credits from high school. So I went and was clept out of like math and English and normal courses. So I was able to do biology and chemistry and all the labs my first year. Did it throughout my first year of college, hated it. Was like, I'm looking at 12 more years of doing this science stuff. No, thank you. So I just kind of changed my major at that point, wasted my first year of college. I think I have a biology minor or something, but wasted my first year of college basically on that. And when I was looking at what I want to do, my dad was always a lawyer. I didn't necessarily always want to follow in his footsteps or things like that. But when I started looking into it more and talking to him more, he said he thought I would be great at it. So transition. I knew I always wanted to go to postgraduate school. I don't really know why. It's just kind of how I always kind of came up thinking. And so then I switched my major, and my guidance counselor was basically like, doesn't matter what your major is in law school, which I've done some videos on this, and I don't necessarily know if I agree with them now, but I switched to the easiest major I could at Florida State, which is sport management, which all the athletes were in. So it was me and a bunch of athletes in the sport management classes. Finished at Florida State. GPA was high, did well enough on my LSAT to get into Florida State. I didn't apply to any other law school. I got married to my wife after undergrad, before law school, went to Florida State in law school, loved it. I would always recommend going to law school in the state that you want to practice in, because there are more people that run law firms here that I will run into here on the defense side, or judges that went to Florida State, then went to Harvard or Yale or some prestigious law school outside of the state. So it's just a quick 2 cents on law school. Happy to answer as many questions about law school or undergrad that anybody has. Kelly, did you feel like there was enough evidence to convict Chandler? I thought a lot of it was circumstantial or inconclusive. Obviously, I feel he's guilty, but did they prove it beyond a reasonable doubt? I do feel like there was enough evidence. And I talked about some of this on another video, but the fact that the parents never left the house once they got back, and where they found the body parts and the blood and his shoe prints, I do think there was enough for me personally. Leslie Watkins. Yeah, I got to see it live again. I love the vlogs. How long was the jury out in the Halderson case in the end? I didn't see exactly how long they were. It couldn't have been an hour. I mean, I don't know how long they were out. Vlogs. We haven't done vlogs in a long time. Let me know if you guys are interested in just like a vlog, like it was like a day in the life thing, just like what I do during the day. I did a couple of them early. I think my dad or Pete may have done one too. Mira, how many clients do you have at a time? So this is an interesting case. Most of the time, I would say a lawyer can handle anywhere from 40 to 100 cases, depending on what kind of case it is. And I'm always in that range. I'm usually butting up against the higher end of that range. But they're all kind of different facets of the case and different things you can do. And sometimes one case is taking a lot of attention, and then another one is. And a lot of times in our cases, like early on, when someone's hurt in a car accident and we get involved and we're dealing with the insurance company, they're treating for a number of months, maybe even longer for some people. So while they're doing that treatment, we're not necessarily, filing motions and doing depositions. We're kind of waiting to see where their treatment goes, what their injuries are. People ask, how much is my case worth? We always say, we don't know. It depends on your injuries, depends on how it affects your life, depends on how much money you lose from work, how expensive your medical bills are, and what the pain is like. So really, it depends on that treatment. So once that treatment is done, then we kind of have a better idea of all that. New Chris, has anyone ever recognized you in public from YouTube? I've had one person come up to me and say, I know you from somewhere. I did not say, is it YouTube? But recently that happened where it felt like YouTube because I didn't know them from anywhere else. But one of the things that's really interesting is I was born and raised here. So I know and it's not a huge town, Clearwater Beach. And I do a lot in Tampa and St. Pete, which are bigger cities, but born and raised here. My dad has been here since he was 10 years old. So we have deep roots in the community. So there are tons of people that I know around here. So there's only one time where I had a suspicion that it was from YouTube. So I'll say no, but maybe once. Thank you, D348. I hope everybody does that. And we actually, like I said, across all of the states, we work with lots of lawyers. We actually have cases personally in Minnesota, Georgia, North Carolina, Ohio. We have cases in other states, but even if we don't take it in another state, there are lawyers in other states that we work with that can help you, that I'd love to be a resource to help you out with that. And the way you work in other states, even though you're not barred in them, is called pro hoc vice, which you can basically sign in to handle a case, and you have to have local counsel there that like vouches that you're an attorney in good standing. So that's how we do that. Thank you, Eric. Michael Palmer, do you watch Nick's channel? I think I've seen you there. I have seen some of their videos. I saw one on, I think I watched one on Rittenhouse, and then I watched him talk about what's going on with him and like the crime and law network or whatever it's called. And then I watched some of Andrew from Legal Mindset was supposed to be on today. I think he's going to come on next week. I love him too. He's awesome. I've talked with him a bunch already. He's a really cool guy and has good perspective on stuff. But I also tuned into his live recently about the stuff going on with Rekieta, which is it's just interesting to me to watch and listen to how that stuff works. And when he said he was going to come on my channel, somebody commented, "I can't stand the lawyer, you know," which I thought was really funny. Like I pop in for 5 minutes and I'm just getting a drive-by, some strays coming my way. So everybody's asking me about what do I think the Halderson prosecutor making statements in the defense, lying to the jury. I think that type of stuff happens in different words more than you guys would think. And I think if you actually think they're lying, you can say it. They have to have a good faith belief and good reason to believe that what they're saying is true, which is what I wanted to talk about. And some people are probably going to get annoyed because we haven't really talked about any cases. It's just kind of been a Q&A. But the Edgecombe opening by the defense, he went on and on about what his client is going to testify to. And I was taking notes saying his client has to testify because he's saying the racial slurs. He's saying all this stuff happened that nobody can testify to but his client. So I'm saying, man, he's locking in the fact that his client's going to testify. And then he actually said, my client will testify to this, or Edgecombe will tell you this. So now you're locked in. And people say, well, what about your right to remain silent? He doesn't have to take the stand. Well, that's true. But that is an opportunity for a mistrial created by the defense because he put in front of the jury all these facts that are going to come out. He had to have a good faith reason to believe his client was going to testify in order to say that. I've had trials where the state attorney has said, oh, this witness is going to come say this, that, and the other. Then I find out they've actually not found that witness. And we've gotten a mistrial. We've gotten curative instructions for it. We've had the judge tell the jury, disregard everything you heard about that. And then in closing, I say, they said you were going to see this witness and you never saw that witness. We actually won that case. It was a not guilty verdict. The most recent one where that happened, it was a battery. So that type of stuff can happen. Off the docket. Votes are coming in. Maria, what is your goal for the future as a lawyer striving for? My goal is really to keep growing and doing what I'm doing. I really love doing personal injury work. I love representing victims. I love fighting against insurance companies. I love it, honestly. So my goal would be just to help more people, help more victims, and try more cases. I love trying cases. It's hard to get them to go sometimes because if the money's good enough, then the advice has to be take it. It's not worth the risk for the client. So I want to try more cases, help people, help do more in the community to help people too, and just use like a platform as a lawyer to do good and make it more about not necessarily just being known as a lawyer, but being somebody that blesses other people too and has a positive impact on other people's lives. That's, I would say, more what I'm more goal-oriented than having this many clients, making this much money, having this many lawyers working for me or something like that. Like I don't necessarily have those goals. Growth, I want to continue to grow and continue to become a better lawyer. But my goals are more oriented on effects I can have on the community and just people around that I can bless because I'm a lawyer. All right, let's see. Off the docket. What does off the docket mean? So there's a docket that says everything that's been done in the case. And if you're pulling something off the docket or next on the docket, a judge will do a docket call. We'll say next case on the docket is this. So off the docket, I guess, is a play on taking something off of, the court's docket. And we're talking about it here today. All right. So wait, I didn't see how many that was. We need some help counting here. I think that was 3 or 4 for off the docket. And then we've got some, I like the lawyer with Peter Tragos. Case by case, getting 3. Some off the docket votes here. So off the docket's definitely ahead. Oh, yeah, off the docket. Case by case seems more approps. Off the docket, off the docket, docket. Okay. Seems like a blowout. If you like case by case, get your votes in now. I was leaning case by case, but you guys are the decision makers. So it's looking like it's going to be called Off the Docket with Peter Tragos, coming at you live next Friday. What punishment do I think Chandler will get? Life. Pretty confidently. Off the docket. No, I'm new to this channel. I've been watching Nick for about 3 weeks. Love his analysis, plus easy on the eyes. Got a little crush on Nick. Easy to listen to. Nice. Thanks for joining us, Spice Rack. Subscribe if you haven't already and join us for as many videos as you can. Off the docket, off the docket. So a lot of people still asking about the line question. I'd have to watch it again. I don't have it burned into my memory here. Brianna, why would I ever want to do that? Did you ever consider going to the University of Miami for law school? No, I didn't. Actually, when I went to Florida State, they were ranked as the #1 law school in Florida. It bounces back and forth between Florida State and then that other college over in Gainesville, between who the top law school is in Florida. And when I went to Florida State, we were #1, but it does bounce. Admittedly, it bounces back and forth. Miami is usually 3 or 4. So people are telling me 2 hours, the jury was out. 2 hours, the jury was out. But what you got to remember is they got to walk back there, take initial votes, write stuff down, fill out the paperwork, read the charges. I think there was there 8 charges? I mean, that's still pretty quick. Sport management, not a bad major. That's true. I never really wanted to be a sport agent. That's what everybody thought because I was going to law school and I had sport management. I was just like, this seems easy. Robbie Kerbo. Do lawyers typically go as far as they can with cross-examination tactics to see how far the judge will let them go? I wouldn't say that. Most lawyers want to do what's appropriate. And cross can get like that sometimes. I was crossing employees of a big company in a trial last year, and the judge let me do some damage to them, but I was always respectful and polite. Like they were lying and they were changing their testimony based on what the depot said, and the judge just let me kind of go through and explain that to them. And make them look like liars or what they were saying wasn't true. But again, I think you can do it in a pretty respectful way. The Edgecombe trial does seem like a boxing match. Both of these lawyers, I think, are taking swings. They're getting up quick and they're asking these questions quick. Well, you could have gone and talked to them, right? The one lawyer was saying like to one of the witnesses that he was badgering a lay witness, the judge said. And he was like, and you didn't talk to my office, right? You only talked to the state. And he's like, no further questions. And the state immediately before he was out of his chair said, did anybody ask you to talk over there? Would you have talked? You would have talked to them, wouldn't you? So it's been kind of fun to watch them as much as I can. People asking for vlogs. And now my granddaughter wants to be a defense lawyer, not here in the UK, but over in the USA. Do it. I love the sound of off the docket, but concerned it's less clear of what that is. If someone new stumbles across your channel. So it's just going to be for the lives on Friday. The channel is still going to be called The Lawyer You Know. We're not going to change that. We're going to kind of keep that mission statement going. But this will just be for the Fridays, just kind of a fun, more relaxed, not necessarily sticking to one case, doing more questions and answering, and maybe talking about a couple of the cases we're covering. So we're just kind of thinking of a fun name for that. And off the docket seems to be winning at this point. How old, Nadia, how old are you? I've got a bet with my boyfriend. All right, let's post guesses in the chat. That'll be fun. Post guesses in the chat. If you've listened to me enough, you should be able to figure it out. I may have said it already in the past, but you should be able to figure it out based on the experience I've talked about. So give me some guesses in the chat. How old do you think I am? Eric McDowell, I used to live in Jupiter, Florida. A lot of friends there. Altitude Dance, hi from Australia. A day in the life would be cool. We've done a couple, but maybe we will bring that back. Maybe we will do another one. Up to 100 cases at a time. That's hectic. Absolutely, it is. I'm young though, as people are guessing my age. Cassandra Stokes, how do you go about finding a good lawyer from the Villages, Florida here? Well, you can call me and I can talk through it with you anytime you need a lawyer. But look at education, look at experience, look at their website, look at their reviews. But when I say look at their reviews, not just the 1 stars that don't say anything or the 5 stars that don't say anything. Those aren't really helpful reviews. Look at when people actually talk about it, because if they give a 1-star review and say this guy wouldn't take my case, well, that doesn't necessarily mean you wouldn't want them as your lawyer just because they wouldn't take somebody else's case. And if they say a 5-star review and they say he had great hair, not a great reason to pick a lawyer either. So read the reviews, talk to people, talk to other people who have used lawyers, and you can get some like real references. Talk to any lawyers that you may know or people that may know lawyers and ask for recommendations from them. That's what I like to do. And that's why because I can usually spot good lawyers based on their websites, or I've worked with a ton of them. So that's why I can kind of connect people with people I think would work well for them. There are some cases that no lawyer is going to take, and people need to understand that sometimes, and they hate when lawyers won't take their case, but just happens sometimes. So Leslie Watkins, Scott Reich always starts his vlogs with "Let's talk about today's docket." Okay, I don't love that. I don't want to be accused of copying someone else. Doesn't sound exactly like off the docket. But I'm relying on you all here because I don't watch a lot of lawyers on YouTube. Spice Rack, do you think Britney's father and brother-in-law will go to jail? I think jail is a bit far at this point based on what we know. I definitely think there's going to be some civil actions coming against them. This is now Sylvia. I love it. This Q&A is perfect. We are way off the docket at this point. Correct. We're not even talking about cases. So that's another meaning of off the docket. I like it. Sorry, Spice Rack. Back to this. I don't think they're going to, well, I don't know. If it comes out that they were actually committing fraud and stealing money from her, sure, they could go to jail. I have to see some more evidence first. I don't like making those jumps with as little as we know at this point. Lenny A, yes. The witness was incarcerated until he testified. Will he be released? Yes. Case by case may have more mass appeal. That's what I'm thinking, but I'm letting the viewers pick here. I'm letting the viewers pick. So Elba Lopez, what do you think about the judge in Rittenhouse's case? You can tell he was on Rittenhouse's side, and the way he screamed to the prosecutor. I have said in some videos I thought he leaned Rittenhouse's way, but after listening to Thomas Binger's interview, which I did a full reaction video to, you can check out on our page, Binger said that's how he always acts. This is not the first time he's acted like that. It's not the first time he's spoken to Binger like that. This is just how he is in his courtroom. So maybe he's not on Rittenhouse's side. I don't know. We're getting some definitely case by case. Somebody saying off the docket. Ooh, here we go. Case by case, making a comeback. Case by case. Case by case is smoother. I like case by case. So we're getting Alana voting for both. Yeah, I think it's weird that Rachel said, I think it's weird only some states carry death penalty. I think either all of them should or all of them should not. That is one of the things left to the states to decide. So it's a state power. How do lawyers remember everything if their memorization involved as well? There is some memorization as well. It definitely helps. Um, a lot of lawyers have some type of photographic memory, even if it's not, exactly that, where you can just see a page and remember everything. But I think it's like a practice, of memorizing thing and having things stick that you read or see. That's something that I feel like is a skill I've really honed in on over time. Is like I'll have conversations with people or I'll read something from a depo, and while a witness is testifying, I will remember that they said something different from their depo and go find that spot. So we keep some cites and some tabs of some of the important things. So that's really important in being a lawyer, especially a trial lawyer. Trial lawyers got to be able to multitask and do a million things at once. All right, here we go. Got some age guesses here. 32, early 30s, 36, 32, 32, 37, 32, 30, 37. I think is 37 the oldest. 33, 42 from my man Flex. 42, 35, 37, 32, 36, 38, 32, 35, 37, 33, 30. We got somebody who knows here. 36. All right. So let me come up now and see some point out some of the people that got it right. First one that I saw got it right. It's my girl Brianna, 34. Spice Rack, 34. Everybody's in the right range. So except my man Flex giving me a little extra. He must see the grays. See the grays? I think that's what Flex was looking at. Off the docket sounds better. Let's see. Some other people got 34. Yeah. Melistasi, he's 34. Tara Johns, I think you're older than you look. I guess that's a compliment. I'd say late 30s, early 40s based on experience. Ryan Good, I started as a biology major, switched to sport management, and that's what I finished with, sport management. Mid 30s. Melistasi knows my birthday, October 16th. Okay, that's interesting. It is correct. Let's see here. So what type of lawyers would not take? There's lots of stuff. I'm sorry. What type of cases would lawyers not take? There's lots of different ones. But recently, we've had a lot of issues with people taking. Well, I mean, there are certain criminal cases no lawyers will take. There are certain criminal cases that no lawyers will take for free. So you have to go with the public defender. There are certain cases that people just want taken for free that lawyers won't do. I've had a lot of lawyers tell me certain landlord-tenant cases, they will not take the tenant side depending on what the issues are. Other cases, they wouldn't take the landlord side. There are some family law cases that people won't take depending on what the family law issue is. So again, and it's just kind of a case-by-case basis that it happens. But just sometimes that it does happen and people, and I understand why it's hard for them to reconcile that because it's their life and their case. Peter Tragos off the docket. So, Mr. Mans, a lot of times, what are the reasons a lawyer declines a case? A lot of times, either don't believe they can win, they don't think they're going to make enough money on it. It doesn't fit with what their staff knows how to do and could potentially clog their system. They think it's frivolous. They don't believe the client. They think the client's maybe lying or exaggerating. There's lots of reasons to decline a case. Killiam, I know better than to age. Yes, doesn't bother me. Yeah, it's okay. I got no beef. I got no beef with Flex. I'll remember Flex. Tell you that. Is there a statute of limitations for personal injury? It differs among states. Here is negligence claims. In Florida is 4-year statute of limitations. Feels mixed case by case and off the docket. We're gonna have to come back and count these up. Why are federal trials harder to win for the defense? I will stick to criminal cases because there are other reasons why it's harder in civil to be in federal court. But in criminal cases, you're dealing with the federal government, a lot more resources and funds than the state government. You're dealing with FBI agents or CIA agents or a lot of agents that are full professionals. Many of them are lawyers or trained in law school, have JDs, as opposed to a local cop. Nothing wrong with local cops, but it's just a different kind of level when you have the full FBI working on something versus a local sheriff's office. And they indict less cases. Their state attorneys or U.S. attorneys, their prosecutors have less cases, more time connected to those cases, and they just have unlimited resources and power. And the things that they can get sealed, they have a lot more control and power over the system. I graduated law school in 2013, 9 years ago. Flex, how long does it take to go through law school? 3 years. Ooh, Ryan, 29. All right. I think that was the youngest. I think we were ranged from 29 to 42. So Kelly, if the guy in the Ahmaud Arbery case are convicted at the state level and they go to federal, what's that going to do? Increase their sentence? They could have an additional federal sentence after it. I think it's more because of the racial element and the hate crime element is why they would go forward. Call it way off the docket. Got some more case by cases coming in. I guess 34, that's my age. What did your boyfriend think? Older or younger? Yep. Palmer gets 34. Nah, Flex isn't a hater. FSU has a lot of majors. Yeah, a ton. Same birthday, Olivia. That's pretty crazy. Let's see what else we got. Got pretty granular. Are you talking about like in the business school or something more basic like that? Yeah, it's sport management is what it says my major is on my diploma. It's a Bachelor of Science, in case anybody's wondering, in the College of Education. Are you required by law to do pro bono cases? I actually don't know. We always fill out our pro bono hours every year. I'm not sure if that's required or not. We do a ton of them, so never an issue for me. We do a ton for our churches, and a lot of local churches around is where we do most of our pro bono work. Bodie, yeah, we're sticking with Lawyer You Know for the actual channel page name. This is just for the Friday Lives. Why are federal cases not televised? That's the rule. That's how they have it. You can't bring any of that in there. Flex, I was guessing your age because he went through an analysis, guys. Okay, take it easy. He thought it took 8 years to go through law school. It only took 3. Michael Palmer, are you familiar with the case of FSU law professor Dan Markell assassinated in his driveway? Yes. Yes, I am aware of that. He was a professor while I was there. 29 to 42 equals age. Just take the compliment. All right. Yeah, that Markell case is crazy. I said I wasn't going to talk about it on another video just because we know so many of the parts involved, but maybe I will. I don't know. I've gone back and forth on whether or not I want to talk about it, but I'm not going to right now. Okay, so we did over an hour of questions. I wasn't necessarily expecting that, but I love that, and it's really fun. I'm going to talk for about 5 minutes, and then we'll go through about 5 more minutes of questions. If you haven't hit the like button now. It looks like either off the docket or case by case. I think off the docket is winning. And I think I'll just give this little snip. I think Theodore Edgecombe at this point is losing. I think he's behind. I don't think he's fully convicted yet. We can talk about it more next week if you guys want to. Always let me know what cases you want to talk about. Hopefully we'll get Andrew from Legal Mindset on so we can get his point of view on some stuff, maybe Edgecombe, maybe some other trials. We'll see what's going on at that point. But thank you, everybody, for joining in. This was a ton of fun. Oh, wait. Case by Case has taken the lead? Ooh, okay. So something must have changed since last time I looked. All right. Interesting. Are you Greek? Yes, I am. So yeah, Ryan Good, I originally majored in biology. So I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. I was planning on going to medical school. When I switched to sport management, it was after I decided to go to law school. Hugo, yes, there is a chance that Ghislaine Maxwell gets a new trial. Oh, I missed what he said, Nadia. Let me see if I can find what your boyfriend guessed. I don't see it, but I see that you won the bet, so good. Case by case, off the docket sounds to me like something that's been taken off the court calendar and is no longer an open case to me. Yeah, it seems like a lot of people are using the docket daily rundown. Do you speak Greek? Very little, not really. I'm kind of a disappointment to the Greek world. My partner Pete Sard is fluent. My dad can speak Greek, but they didn't put me in Greek school. What do you want me to do? It wasn't my fault. Hello, James. Karen, I don't think we have enough time to answer this question in today's video, but maybe next week we can talk about exactly what we learned in law school. We are actually a little bit past time here today on Friday's Live, but it was so much fun answering so many questions. So thank you, everybody, for joining in. Thanks for getting your questions in. Make sure you put your votes in off the docket or case by case, because by next Friday, we are going to have a name. But that's all we got. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Until next time.